Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and this is a podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This week I had Amy Shanker in my bed. Amy is a great comedian from New York. You can check out her website, amyshanker.com. That's AMYSHANKER.com. You can also follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Shanker. She has a show on, she has shows at Below Me at Samita Bar on the 28th at 8:30 and the Standing Room on 8:30 at 8 p.m. So the Below Me at Samita Bar is at 8:30 and the Standing Room is at 8. So please come and check that out. Her and I had a great conversation. We talked about when she was a teacher and what that was like. We went more in depth on cataplexy and some of the narcolepsy stuff, as well as restless leg syndrome. We talked about what it's like when people first start out in stand-up and her path and what she's been doing. And we talk about New York and what the stand-up scene's like out there. We just had a lot of fun. You can also catch me on Friday, June 29th in San Diego at the Comedy Palace at 9:30 p.m. So please come and check that out. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. And also, if you like the podcast, please remember to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that jazz. Follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. And let's get started with the show. Sleeping with Sarah. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton. I'm here with my guest, Amy Shanker.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How'd you sleep last night?
I slept really well, actually. And I've been on the road for like 3 or 4 weeks, and that's the best sleep I've gotten.
Really?
It was really nice, yeah.
Is it because you still find Chicago like home, or?
It's been a party.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had to take a night off, and I needed it. So it was good.
So what's your trip been then? So you're from New York.
I live in Brooklyn, and I was going, I was on just shows kind of all over the Midwest, up at Comedy on State and the Comedy Attic, and then Zany's Rosemont last weekend, and then I'm at Laugh Factory this weekend, and then I head back to New York.
Oh, nice. Well, that's fun to get out of the city.
Yeah, it was a nice break, for sure. I miss New York, though, too. So,
yeah, already? Just weird. A month away and you miss it?
Right, I didn't think I would, but I do. It's the grit. I like the grit.
Yeah. And where do you live in New York?
I'm in Brooklyn. I live in Bed-Stuy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have you been there?
I haven't been to Bed-Stuy, but I was in Brooklyn like a month and a half ago, so. But
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we were in, you did the show. We were in, not Bushwick, it was Williamsburg.
Yeah, Williamsburg is very expensive.
Yeah. It's weird how now suddenly Brooklyn, I guess, was like the area that people didn't want to live and it was cheap. And I think every neighborhood, all the artists just move to an area and then suddenly it becomes cool and then the prices raise.
Yeah, as soon as other white people basically come in is what it is.
Yeah.
Lincoln Park used to be a pretty hood too.
Really?
Actually, yeah. In Chicago in the 80s, like super dangerous.
Did you grow up in Chicago?
No, I just know it because I lived here for 13 years.
Where are you from?
So, Kansas City.
Ah.
Yeah, I moved here to teach. I moved to Chicago to teach, and then I moved to Brooklyn for stand-up.
Yeah, I remember a lot of your material being about teaching.
Yeah, I was write what you know, right? It was fun, though. It was, it's fun going out of teaching and now trying to, think of different types of material is definitely...
Different.
But I like it because I feel like my writing's changed a little bit. So that's good.
That is good. So was it a big transition to change from being like, I'm not going to be a teacher anymore, I'm going to do comedy at that point when you've already been teaching for over 10 years?
Yeah. No, I wasn't happy teaching anymore. And so to switch was just more of a welcomed relief, I think. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I knew teaching wasn't for me. I think probably the first day of teaching. And then,
damn.
Yeah, and then I was like, ugh.
And then you just kept doing it?
Yeah. So I did it for a while, thinking that I would like it more, and then I got a master's degree in administration because I thought maybe I'll be a principal. And then as soon as I got that, I started doing comedy, and that kind of just took over.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Yeah, you're just like, I have to do this.
Yeah, it just takes over your life, basically. So.
Wow. And so, did any of your kids ever see you do stand-up? Like,
yeah. All the time. They come to shows when I come back a lot.
And what year you taught high school, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I taught mainly seniors for like probably my last 5 or 6 years. I taught seniors. Mm-hmm. And they come to shows. I would say I see probably around like 10 different kids every time I come back.
Oh, weird.
Right?
Yeah.
One of them yelled out the other day. She was like, I walked on the stage and I just hear, Miss Shanker. I was like, oh no. But they're fine.
Were you a good teacher? Were you bad? Or did you get...
I guess it depends on the kid that you talk to. You'll get both of those answers.
So you were like, you're not going to get like every kid being like, Miss Shanker inspired me to do blah, blah, blah.
No. You'll get some kids that will say that, and you'll get some kids that will hate me completely. But I find that the ones
Teenagers are assholes, aren't they?
Yeah, they're kind of schmucks. The ones that understand sarcasm got me, and we got along perfectly, and the ones that didn't get it, and they hated me, and that's fine.
I think by a senior in high school, you had to understand sarcasm a bit.
You would think.
But
some people have a different learning curve.
So when was the point when did you decide to just go to an open mic? Were you going to shows? What?
No, I gave a speech at my brother's wedding and was like, this is so fun. And then people afterwards were coming up to me and they're like, you should do, comedy, or you should write speeches, or you should be writing for a sitcom or TV or something like that. You shouldn't be teaching now. And so I came back and it just started. I did a class, actually, which everyone's like, don't do classes, but I'm so like education geared that I just needed to do that to have the confidence to go to a mic.
I think a lot more people do classes than people realize. Like Jeff Arcuri started with a class.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
And I think it's good for people, I didn't, but I think it's good for people to start their confidence if they haven't been on stage. And then their first show, they kind of get like a decent, because people
you get kind of, the writing process. I just didn't want to waste a lot of time at mics not knowing what I was doing. Like, I'd rather learn the basics of how to write a joke or what the qualities of good joke writing are before I just go in blind and waste a year trying to figure out what I could learn in 6 weeks, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people do, I think, yeah.
Well, and so many people look down on it, but I think it's because, like, one big brother said classes were bad and everybody else.
Yeah. There's so many silly things, I think, with comedy, classes are bad. I disagree. Like, I have learned so much from TV writing classes and things like that. And even though before I did stand-up, I did Second City, I did those writing classes, so even though I wasn't stand-up, and I still had to adjust it, but, like, I had some sort of class introducing me to the comedy world.
Yeah, it's more of nobody, first of all, does this profession by themselves, and anybody who's saying that they're successful because of just the qualities that they have is lying completely. Like, everybody helps people. So,
yeah. There's lots of people. I think when I first started stand-up, I thought it was more like everyone alone, but I realized how many people write together or, work on each other's jokes or bits and contribute. And it is a much more collaborative thing than I think a lot of people realize that aren't doing it.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I definitely have people that I love to write with, and then other people that ask me to write, and I'm like, it's not going to work.
You got to have the right person that gets you in a certain way.
Right, because if you're right... I don't know. A lot of people will do tags and stuff for my jokes, or they'll come up to me after a show like, well, why don't you do this? I'm like, well, you're right. You're writing that tag in your voice. That was not going to work for me on stage, but thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. I always think it's weird if it's somebody I know then fine, yes. If you have a good idea for a tag that's in my voice, share it. But I've definitely had those situations where it's someone you don't know, and you're like, why?
Yeah. I've actually had friends, like just regular people at my shows, come up and be like, oh, I thought you were going to do this. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea to take that. Like, and I've used them. Probably more than comedians' tags, honestly.
Interesting.
But...
Well, it's a good way to take it a different point of view, to take it a different way.
Yeah, well, your friends know you, and they know, like, what you're used to, like, how they see you is probably how people see you.
I couldn't tell you how many times people have been like, oh, you should pretend to fall asleep on stage. I'm like,
why?
If I was Stephen Castillo, maybe that would be something that maybe that would go, but that's not my personality on stage, you know?
That's funny. Yeah.
I've had like seriously 20 plus times people have said that. Yeah. Like it's not a little amount. Like it's a lot of people have said that, which is weird. I'm like, I get that would be really cool and all, but I'm not, I don't think I'm that.
I don't even know that that's all. I feel like that's just like.
I feel like that's just being an asshole, kind of. Like worrying people and. Or maybe a little Kaufman-esque. I don't know, but.
Yeah, more Kaufman. I don't know. Try it. Don't do it. That would be, I don't know.
I would worry that people would worry, first of all, and that there'd be that weird tension, you know, like.
Right, where they would be like, is she okay? And then how would you just wake up?
Yeah, I mean, what's the punchline in that? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no punch. Don't do that.
Yeah, I would. No, that's why I haven't. I've never done that.
And you have to learn how to fake fall.
I'm actually, because people ask what it looks like all the time. I've done that, so I've done that for the series and stuff. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's actually, I've been told oddly enough that it's called a cataplexy, that it's graceful when people have seen me do it. Because my body knows it's going to happen. I kind of fall my knees. I kind of fall like on my knees.
Oh, like you, like.
Yeah, it's kind of
Do you start to fall before you know you're going to fall?
Yeah, but I can't stop it. So, like, my body knows it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And if people that have known me for years, they can see it happening. And, like my ex used to catch me all the time.
Mm-hmm. Really? That's funny.
I know. I used to say, it was like, it was so cute. He literally caught me when I fell.
Did you... what are, like, the symptoms of, like, right before you're going to fall? What happens?
So, everyone has their weird trigger. A lot of times it's, like, a heightened emotion if you're really surprised or shocked. Mine is a very specific weird trigger, and this is why I don't do puns on stage. So, you know when you say something that's kind of, like, silly or dumb, but you kind of want to laugh at it, but you hold back your laughter because you don't laugh at your own thing? That very specific feeling is one of my triggers.
Really?
I know that sounds really strange.
That is strange.
It can also be, like, surprise or shock, but like a lot of time it's happened at that moment where I said something kind of dumb, and and that's why I never do puns on stage, because I'm afraid I'm gonna do that
and just laugh.
No, it's when I don't laugh. I'm holding back. Yeah, so like one time I remember this specifically. My brother and his now wife, it was his girlfriend at the time. The first time I met her, he came up to Chicago. We were walking down Belmont, and they were talking about how we're going to have a mustache party. This is back when that was a thing, you know? Okay. And they're like, oh, we're going to have a stash of stashes. I was like, oh, like, you should serve pistachios. And then that's like a dumb pun, right? But I held back my laughter, and then I fell down, and she freaked out because she had never seen it before.
Did she know, or had you not told her?
I don't know if I told her, but my brother started laughing, and she must have thought he was a psychopath, because like, your sister just fell in the middle of the street. What are you doing? Why are you laughing? And then he explained it.
That's so funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. I mean, and so it's a very weird specific trigger. And there have been other moments. I've done it where I've laughed that was in high school was the last time I think I laughed so hard that I did it. I was at a play, front row.
And you just sleep. And
I just kind of like fall. It's like a collapse. So cataplexy is a sudden loss of muscle control. So sometimes it can be, it usually you have to be standing up to fall. You know, so that's why like I don't worry about driving or anything, but sometimes it can also be like just a facial one too. So sometimes just half my face might droop.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a sudden loss of muscle control.
How long does it last?
Like a minute or two. Not very long.
Do you wake up and you're like...
Yeah, and I'm okay. Yeah. It's more of managing other people around me that freak out. Because some people are like overly like concerned and overly worried when it's not a big deal, because I usually fall in a way that doesn't hurt myself as long as there's nothing in the way.
Right.
You know? So it's just about managing people that notice. But what's real surprising is when people don't notice. So
yeah, that would be.
So I was at a party at, Kevin and Mikey's house. Yeah, I was at a party once there in their kitchen with lots of people around, and I had one like kind of behind like their kitchen table a little bit, and like one person noticed that was right next to me and nobody else noticed.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's just interesting because you can do it in a big room. A lot of drugs. Yeah, probably. But if I didn't have only 40% of people with narcolepsy have the cataplexy. If I didn't have it, I don't know if I would have been diagnosed because I did it in school. It was when the first time I had it was in a class.
How old were you?
I was 15, kind of like 15, almost 16. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a geometry class. So sophomore, and it was right before a test, and I forgot my calculator went up to the front, and somebody said something. I think it surprised me, and then I fell down, and she freaked out, and she's like, "Don't take the test. Go figure out."
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then we went, because we had been testing shit for a long time, and then we went to neurologists because they knew something was wrong. They just didn't know what, and it's highly misdiagnosed. So teachers actually, I think. I still wonder, because I went to Kentucky public school, if I had gone to a private high school, if it would have been diagnosed sooner.
Oh, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Teachers don't have, were your classes that big?
Yeah, they were pretty big, because I went from an 8th grade with 36 people my whole grade to, which we were like 12 people a class, to high school where it was like 30 to 35 people in a class.
I don't know. I mean, when I think about, like, my old students and the stuff that was wrong with them, like, I feel like I knew when some of the kids were, like, going through some stuff that I would figure it out.
Yeah.
But there were others that, like, they were diagnosed with, like, diabetes and stuff like that, where I'm like, I don't know. You just look tired.
Yeah. I had one teacher, I think before I was diagnosed, she would spray me in the face with water when I fell asleep.
Really?
That would not fly now. Or keep in mind, this is a while back.
I'm trying to think of what I would do. If my kids fell asleep in class and the bell rang, I wouldn't let the other kids wake them up. I would just...
leave them there.
Yeah, and then the other class would file in and I wouldn't let them wake them up. And they would just wake up when they were ready to a whole other class.
That'd be kind of fun.
I loved it.
So what would they do?
They would be like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" I'm like, "Well, it's not my job."
Yeah.
Will you write me a pass? No. Don't fall asleep in my class.
Do you have any sleep issues, or do you sleep just normal?
I have massive sleep issues with, I have restless leg syndrome, which nobody thinks is a thing.
Is that frustrating when you have something and people are like,
that's not real.
Yeah, that's not real. I'm just like, no, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So can you explain to people that don't know what restless
leg? It kind of manifests itself in different ways in different people, but for me, it's more like there's like a hand or just fingers, I guess, that are like inside my leg, and it feels like they're just like not massaging my muscles, but like tickling them a little bit, where I have to like kick my leg, and if I don't, I'm up for days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I can't sleep. So, and I had to do like sleep studies and stuff, and this.
So you had all the things plugged.
Yeah. And I'd had this since like, I think 7th grade probably. Like I would always hit my legs, and I mean my dad's a doctor. He didn't figure it out.
Oh, wow.
So like it's like these undiagnosed things that because they're so like rare, and they like RLS. There's nobody knows what's causing it, and really what the issue is. They think it's a symptom of something else, and so it's that's the frustrating part. And so yeah, I'm on medicine for life for that.
Does it work?
Most of the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like the same. Like, I know I'm on medicine for life. It's just one of those things. But, I mean, have you ever had issues where you've kicked somebody in your sleep? Or
all the time. Yeah. Do you
have to warn guys? You'd be like, hey, like, just a heads up.
I just let it happen. And if they stick around, then they like
That's
me.
a good sign, yeah.
But, yeah, the sleep study was weird.
Aren't those weird?
Yeah, because you're like, I'm never going to sleep. Because when you're used to staying up forever, which I was, I would be up for days at a time with this stuff. And they're like, we're going to put these on and just go to sleep. And it's like, I'm hooked up to 9,000 wires.
It's such a weird feeling. And also they want you to
And
go to
they're
bed at like
watching
8
you.
p.m. too. It's like super
And
early.
and they're like, we're just going to watch you on this video camera. And you're like, okay.
Well, for narcolepsy, so you do the night test, and then the next morning they do a test in terms of napping and how quickly you go to REM. So the next morning they have you do the thing. So you go through, I think it's called MLST, I believe. I think the acronym might be incorrect, but it's something like that. MLST. But anyway, so what you do is they wake you up. They keep you awake for like 15 minutes, and then you go to sleep. They turn all the lights off. You go to sleep for 15 minutes. And they wake you up for like 30, and then you go to sleep.
That's so annoying.
Well, for me, it was really weird because at the time I was 15, so my parents were there watching everything. And so one of the times within 15 seconds of going, because normal people go to REM in like an hour and a half or so. It's like when they usually get their 7 minutes of REM, but I usually go like straight to REM.
Really?
Yeah. And so that's why I don't get restfulness part of it, I think. And so one of the times when they shut the lights off, my mom, she said, I started talking in my sleep like within 30 seconds. And I was like, they're shocking me, Ma. They're shocking me. Because they had all the things plugged in me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying?
Yeah. And so she was freaked out for a second. And then she realized, they're like, no, she's asleep. It's like, that's what's happening.
That's so funny.
And, yeah, but so for me, it wasn't an issue falling asleep. The issue was staying awake in those periods when they wake you up. So they test how quickly you go to REM and like what your brain is doing. Because it's just I don't know. Now they say it's an autoimmune thing. It's also neurological. It's kind of in between. It's like those weird things that they try to figure that out. Do they know? Yeah, what is restless? Do you know?
Nobody knows. They think it's just a symptom of another thing, which I'm like, well, what's the other thing? Because that's an issue.
Yeah. They think it's just like
They think it's like a nerve thing.
Oh.
But I don't know exactly.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So maybe it's just a missing connector from your nerves to your brain for that.
Possibly. Like the medicine that I take, it also treats Parkinson's patients. Like that's the other thing that it treats. And this is like, they just found that it works with RLS too.
Yeah. I mean, the medicine I take at night has GHB in it, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what stops the cataplexy and the hallucinations.
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
And it's just this really weird, I mean, like, obviously it's not the street GHB, but it is like, it's so weird how do they figure that out? They're like, oh, this thing that's this illegal drug will help.
Well, I know that's but I mean, weed helps too a lot with me. Mm-hmm. Does it help with you?
Yeah, it does with some things. What I usually use it for is because I'm on uppers to stay awake during the day. Okay. So to keep me from talking like 1,000 words a minute.
Yeah.
Because either I'm really excited, awake, or I'm just really, really tired. So to try to get that balance in between, I usually smoke a little bit of sativa and stuff, like before I go on stage sometimes, especially because the adrenaline of being on stage and all that, I'll talk. So it's more me balancing my reactions to the medicine that keeps me awake.
Okay. That's something that you had to learn.
Yeah. Because I was really annoying in high school. Let me just say that. In high school and early college, I was still figuring out my medicine, and I would talk. Because I would take and I've decreased it significantly. I would take 80 to 90 milligrams of Ritalin a day to stay awake. Yeah.
Jeez. So that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, and thankfully they came up with other medications that are better extended release. Like now I take
or like
a third of that
or something.
Yeah, that's what I take now. Yeah. I take Vyvanse, and then I take I have Ritalin as an extra when I get tired, or if I have a show that's late or something. So I take a third of that, 20 to 30.
So you sleep through the night, no problem.
Yeah, but no matter how much sleep I get, I'm still as tired the next day.
Okay.
So I could be asleep for an hour or sleep for 11 hours and still feel the same way every morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Okay.
Unless I'm taking the GHB stuff, because that's what you take at night. So,
because I thought the REM sleep was the best sleep that you can get.
It's a step after REM. So REM isn't restful because that's where you're dreaming, and so your mind is very active. So your mind doesn't really get that restful state. Now, I'm not a doctor, so if anyone's listening and wants to correct me, that's totally fine. I'm always kind of worried people on the internet are going to be like, that's wrong.
Everything I've said is right.
Yeah.
For me.
She's a teacher. Everything she says is right.
I know all this stuff. Teachers know everything. Give us guns.
Oh, God. What do you think of that?
No.
That's terrifying, right?
It's
I mean,
such
first
a
of all,
bad
they don't get
idea.
paid enough. If you're going to have enough money to give every teacher a gun, give every teacher a fucking raise.
Yeah, well, that's what they're taught. They're like, every teacher that has a gun or goes through the process gets an extra 10 grand. And I'm like, now you're putting lives, like prices on lives is what you're doing. It's bad.
I don't know. This is actually the first time I've kind of had like a teensy bit of hope, you know, that maybe some things will change, because Florida did make some adjustments, and that's the first time. That's Florida.
And for Florida,
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I've kind of had like a little bit of hope, but I'm kind of like still like jaded from having hope before and it like being. So I'm just kind of like got a little bit, but I'm not like, you know, I'm still keeping it at bay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope they don't arm It's a horrible idea.
No, that's such a stupid idea. It really is.
It's more because I just feel, one,
if kids know they're armed, then they could maybe figure out how to get the gun.
That's my biggest fear, is the call is coming from inside the house. Like, the gun is right there. A kid can just grab it if a teacher forgets, and teachers forget.
Yeah.
You see I saw 150 kids a day.
A day?
So, yeah, every single day. So a gun would be the last thing on my mind. Like, you're trying to teach 5 classes, grade all their homework, make sure they're not fighting with each other, make sure they're behaving. And then there's just a million other things going on with administration, with everything. Parents.
Oh, man. Teaching sounds hard.
It is hard. So I quit.
Yeah. You're like, nah, not this for me. Stand up.
Stand-ups.
But you teach stand-up, too.
No. I have. Yeah, I have. For sure.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. I like seeing... I feel like every comedian goes through their, like, phases of... when you're new.
Break down the phases. I'm curious.
I think it's just, you start out, you want to, your first open mics, you feel like you can't repeat any material. Like, you have to prove that you know new stuff, that you have new stuff and you're generating, and people are like, you just don't realize that everybody's perfecting jokes at mics. Like, that's what they're for.
Yeah.
And so to keep bringing in new stuff is like, what a waste of time, because you're not going to perfect any of it. And then they go really, really dirty.
Just for shock, yeah.
For shock. And guys have, like, a new take on a dick joke that...
everyone's already
done, and they think it's the most amazing thing. And then girls talk about, their periods and sex, and... because I feel like they feel more liberated, I guess, with comedy. And then they start finding their voice, so that's fun.
Yeah,
that's
when they start finding more of their point of view.
They're like, oh, this isn't even these aren't even things I want to talk about. It's just what other people are talking about.
Yeah, I think that's good. Or when people start out because they liked a certain comedian, they're kind of like them. They
emulate them, yeah.
For, the first couple years, until they figure out who they separate themselves.
Yeah, like I saw, who was it? This guy recently had the exact same voice, like to the T, as Mark Normand. I don't know if you know him. He's in New York.
No.
He used to open for, or maybe he still does, Amy Schumer.
Oh, okay.
A lot. He's hilarious. And it was this open micer, and I told him, I was like, you sound just like Mark Normand. Is that one of your favorite comedians? And he's like, I've never heard of him.
Oh,
like,
interesting.
Whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, I think it is cool to see everyone's different styles and to see more. I think it's just very fun to see also people from Chicago really crushing it as they move out and do bigger things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just nice to see, how many people I've known that's done late night. Like that's so cool.
I was just at, Jeff Arcuri just recorded his set on Colbert, and it's so good. Like, awesome. I can't wait. It hasn't aired. I don't think it's aired yet. Yeah. But it was great.
No, and then also, let's see, I also know Jacob Williams, too. He had his Colbert recently. Of course, Emily, when she lived here. And, there's just...
with Conan.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah, a lot of people have done Conan.
Josh just made me cry at the end with the teacher.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
What an asshole. Now we all look horrible. We don't bring our teacher. I'm like, he's one of my roommates too. I'm like, I'm a teacher. You could have brought me. But he had a specific one in mind. He brought, I think it was like his 9th or 10th grade teacher.
And he's also really young, so he's probably...
Yeah. And his teacher was always like, oh, I'm going to see you on TV one day. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that is pretty neat that people can do that.
I've never had a teacher say that to me, so...
Aw. Still time. So, did you ever have a teacher that influenced you in that way? Like, that in...
Oh, in writing? No, I didn't get along with most of my teachers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There were some that I really liked.
Do you feel like you got karma back from kids?
No, I mean, probably, but I worked in a very different area than I grew up in, and so it was like a different kind of karma, I think. Like, I worked in a more, like, urban environment, and I grew up in Kansas, so there's just no comparison. But, yeah, I really liked my students. The teachers that I had as a student were, I don't know, they were just more, like, business-oriented. Like, they were just schoolwork, except for a few. And then with the kids that I worked with, I tried to do as much schoolwork as possible, but they just have so much other stuff going on that, like, you have to either incorporate that into school or make separate time for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of different.
That was cool.
I'm still writing jokes about, like, I just wrote one about arming teachers, actually, but I feel like the jokes that I write about education now are more from, like, a, outside perspective, or just like a theoretical perspective, maybe, which is good.
Do you ever still say, "Hey, I'm a teacher," just to get the joke? Like, do you ever do older jokes?
I say I used to be a teacher, which I always said. I think for the most part, I rarely said I am a teacher.
Well, I know a lot of people, like, when they go through a breakup, it's like they'll still say my girlfriend, because they don't want to get rid. I remember when Jeff went through a breakup, he's like, well, there goes like 40 minutes of material.
Oh, yeah, that's like, true.
I think that's a different phase. It's where, like, oh, something big life-changing happens, so you either pretend that that's still you and still part of your life to do your jokes, or you throw all those jokes out.
Yeah, and I think that if you can just rework them a little bit, like if they're solid jokes, rework them into a different situation.
Yeah.
And you can still use them, because it's not like...
Yeah, it's not that different. Yeah.
Yeah, don't dump the baby out with the bathwater. Is that what that is?
I think.
Is that saying?
I think. It doesn't make as much sense, though, because, like, you wouldn't confuse the baby with bathwater,
Yeah, just throwing it all out.
Yeah.
Don't cut off your nose to spite your face. I could do these all day, but but none of them make sense for this situation, so...
That's okay. And then we also talk a little bit about relationships. Like, I was talking about, did you ever have anything, like, midway where you had to change your stuff because of relationships or not?
I don't talk about dating. I talk about dating in general, or, like, I'll give, like, some, like, scenarios about, like, first dates and stuff, but I don't really talk about my relationships on stage.
Because you want them to last?
No, because I just don't, I don't know. Part of me is like, I'm not giving you credit. And then part of me is like, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I just don't, I think I've written maybe one or two jokes that have had a specific person in mind, but I don't say their name for sure.
Oh, I definitely don't say their name.
And I probably changed some of the situational
details,
like context. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't had too many. I've had a couple for sure, and they could definitely tell. Like, didn't say any names, but they definitely like knew. You know,
oh, that's
that's me. Or like had people like, is that about blank? You know,
right?
You know, and I was like, well, you know. And I'll play it off like, no, it's not, you know.
Right. Yeah, it makes a difference. I don't, well, that and like, one of my exes, his mom still comes to my shows. So
oh, weird.
she's super nice and supportive. And he does too, but I'm just like, I'm just going to write other funny stuff.
That's good.
And not risk it. Because I know that it will just fall out of my mouth.
Oh, yeah?
That's just very much me, is if I'm like told... Or in my head, I'm like, okay, I shouldn't do this because this person is here. And then
you'll definitely
I open with it. Yeah, right off the bat. So it's horrible.
So your pep talks beforehand or writing out your set doesn't matter.
Horrible.
So in the moment, do you just for different things, do you actually follow your set then at all, or like when you try to plan stuff?
If I know that I need like a tape or something like that, then yeah, for sure I stick to the set. But otherwise, I'll just I have an idea of what I want to say, and if I want to work on some new stuff, I definitely get that in. But if the audience isn't feeling it, I switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah, I think that's good that you can do that. I think that's the one thing I've talked to people that have done TV. It's like they approve exactly what you're going to say. Yeah. And you can't change it.
Right, that's
and I'm
true.
like, that sucks.
And on some of them, it's down to like very specific words, like you're not allowed to say cancer or something like that. And so you have to think of a different, less threatening illness. I don't know. Like, it gets a little tricky. But I don't know really because I haven't done late night yet, so I don't know the difference.
Well, I know that apparently you had to send from when I talked to Emily, you had to send it in, and then they approve it. They're like, well, we like all of these jokes, but we don't like these 2 jokes. Redo another 5-minute tape, and you have to keep like sending until they're like, yeah, we love it, we love everything about this tape, and then it's like. They're like, yeah, we'll get you. You're on the list. And like 8 months later, they're like, oh, you're on next week. And then you have to do set from 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And so then you
like never do.
That you don't do anymore. And then you have to. That's when everyone's asking for the 5-minute sets.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one. And then the other one. Well, when I've seen some other friends go through it, it's been like work on this set consistently, and then they retape, and tape next week. And so then it's like very much rehearsed.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of different, I think, for every late night.
Yeah. Do you want to write for late night? Is that something you...
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, I just need to get hired.
Yeah.
To do it.
It is very hard. That's like those coveted writing jobs are like
I know,
very
right?
difficult.
I know, but that's my dream life would be to write for like late night and just do stand up.
Who particularly?
Anyone that will hire me.
Yeah.
I don't
well, is
care.
there somebody's voice like that would be the dream? Like
I'd love to write for Kimmel. I love Colbert. I mean, I'll take anything right now and then just figure out how to
Would you ever host?
Keep going. Yeah.
You'd host like, yeah. Nice.
For
I
sure.
Like that. I wanted to, since you're from New York, I wanted to also get some ideas. Like, what are the, in terms of like seeing hot talent in New York, like what's like a good shows for people to go to? Like here, you got CYSK here. You got different.
Well, there's
things.
also CYSK and Comedians You Should Know in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it's that's one of the hottest rooms, I would say, in New York.
It seems like Brooklyn is like, a lot of the rooms are in Brooklyn.
They're coming up a lot. I think that CYSK is a great show. I run a show there, Blackout Diaries, and then I run...
Oh, you run the Blackout Diaries out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the same format here? Blackout Stories?
Yeah, it's Blackout Stories, but ours is monthly. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit different. And then I do... that power hour that they do here, I do it there too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I run like 2 drinking shows. And then...
And Chicago shows that have formats that have grown and gone to New York, which is great.
It is fantastic. Those are 2 of them, Blackout Diaries and CYSK. And Power Hour as a mic. But let's see, good shows. I'm like blanking right now.
I think there's a Sunday one, right?
You know what? There's one called Too Many Cooks.
Really?
It's so good. It's and that's in the city, and I think it's weekly, and it's fantastic. That's one that you should check out too. It's a new one. I
Too Many Cooks?
A lot. Yeah.
That makes me think of that long trailer. Yeah, Too Many Cooks, and it was just like goes for like 15 minutes, just intros.
Yeah, and there's like always the same chef in the back. I think.
Yeah.
Who's like a serial killer. Yeah. Or I may have made that up.
I don't know. I was high when I watched it, so.
Okay. Yeah. I might watch that again.
That's one thing I'm really looking forward to is LA, is that it's all going to be, it's just going to be easy.
You just walk into a store. Mm-hmm. Well, you can just buy it there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to...
Because I have a medical card in New York.
You don't have to have a medical card.
That's nice.
But if you do, you can get higher dosages for things. So if you're just a regular consumer, adult consumer, you can have like up to 100 milligrams in like one thing, you know, versus if you are a medical card holder. So one of the places I went to, there was an entrance for people. There were 2 separate entrances. One entrance for people with a medical and one not. And they have different things for different whatever. So, but yeah, I I don't know.
Because in New York, you can't buy edibles and you can't buy flour, but you can buy pills, tincture, and vape.
You can buy everything.
That's pretty sweet.
They have it in a juice. They have juice.
Yeah, I want them to do that in New York. Like, it seems like edibles should be pretty basic.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, the gummies, so many things. It's great. I mean, I haven't been to Denver yet, but I'm going on my way. So
Denver's fun.
We're gonna do a show at Comedy Room. I think on that Friday night on our way. So it happens to be 420. Because I was like, if I'm going to go in April, might as well be in Denver.
When are you,
And actually, we're driving through Kansas City. We're staying, like, I think 2 hours west, or an hour and a half west, because she's got a family friend that's like an hour and a half west. I forget what town it is. It's a small town.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
So we're leaving on the 19th, staying there, and then we're going to Denver on the 20th, and then we're going to Vegas for Denver to Vegas, and then Vegas to LA.
That's like 4 hours.
Yeah, but Denver to Vegas is like 11, so.
So when do you leave? At the end 19th? Of this month?
Yeah, April 19th.
April 19th.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's well, probably by the time this airs, I'll probably be out there. But it's a little overwhelming, but exciting.
Do you have so you don't know where you're living at?
I tried. So I went up there mid-February looking at April 1st apartments, and everything in mid-February was available for March 1st. Everything is 2 to 3 weeks out. I don't know what New York housing is like, but LA is very last minute. If you find a
place in New York and you like it, you have to take it.
Yeah, and so I want to be out there. So I've got enough friends I can crash with. You know, I mean, I've got like at least 2 friends that are like, yeah, you can stay. You know, as long, I'll probably just stay like a week at each person's place until I run out of friends. Yeah. You know,
and then, that makes sense.
And then, I mean, I'm thinking I'll find a place in the first 2 to 3 weeks is my guess, and then.
There's like gypsy housing and stuff like that.
I've been on that looking, and it's insane. But the weird thing is some places don't come with fridges, so I might have to buy a refrigerator.
Oh, they're like a what's it called, a bachelor?
No, it's like full places, like a full apartment, but it just won't come with a fridge because people move with their fridges in LA. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. That's
so weird.
Yeah, I think that's... But they do have some rent control, which is good. But I don't know. I know New York housing is probably like a nightmare.
It's a nightmare, yeah. I mean, I got really lucky because my... a childhood friend, like, hit me up and was like, yeah, I just bought a place and I want to rent out the bottom. I was like, oh, I'll take it. I hadn't even
and that's the one that had the place with your dog, right?
Yeah. And so that's why I moved 6 months before I was going to move. Just because she had that, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity.
So.
Yeah, I'm just, my writing partner's been out there for like 2 weeks now. It's like, I want to be there. She's like talking, she's like, oh, it's so warm, and I just want to be out there now. But just a few more weeks.
Soon.
Yes, and I love Chicago, and I love everything I've learned here and
You'll
everything.
Miss it, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I got a lot out of Chicago, and I think that the next step, I love Chicago, but I know a lot of people will argue this and hate that I say this, but you can't make a living as a comedy writer in Chicago.
It's hard.
I mean,
Pat Thomasula's new show, Man of the People, is like the start of that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if they try to grow, maybe in, 5-10 years, maybe. But the thing is, the weather is what's keeping everyone away from filming here. Like, that's why Atlanta gets more films and TV shows than Chicago. It's just the weather is just too inconsistent, and they spend too much money on movies that they can't go with inconsistencies in filming. Yeah. And that's why.
Well, and I thought they got tax breaks in different states, too, for this.
Mm-hmm. They do. I think Georgia has it. I think Illinois had it for a while, but I don't know. I think realistically, and some people are like, no, like, we'll wait till it comes here. And I'm like, that's going to be a long wait.
That could be a long time.
And I feel like there are some people I know in the scene here in Chicago that I think are super talented. I'm just like, why are you still here? There is more work here, though, because everybody leaves.
Yeah, so there's more money. Ideally,
work in local. One thing, if they're touring and they're doing local clubs, that's one thing. But if they're not a club comic,
right,
and they're still here, hard. And I'm like, why? There's some people I'm like, you need to take that. I don't know. I think you need to get uncomfortable and put yourself in that.
Yeah, people don't like to be uncomfortable though.
Yeah,
it's a hard thing.
It is
to step out. But
I mean, that's also how we all started, anyways.
Yeah, but then you forget that part because you're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ideally you can move away, get the skills you need and money and come back.
Yeah.
And start a thing here.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, if you have enough money, you know.
You can do anything.
Exactly. I mean, there have been so many great things that have started here, but even like comics that are from here, like Kumail, his film The Big Sick, that wasn't filmed here. you know?
Right.
That wasn't filmed or written here. It was great that it took place in Chicago. It was inspired by someone that did stand up in Chicago for a long time. I bet he wanted it to be filmed here.
I'm
but
sure.
You don't have those.
It's not his choice.
You don't have that control.
Right, when it comes down to it.
Unless you have millions and millions of dollars and like basically like the reason Atlanta's doing well is Tyler Perry like owns half of Atlanta and he has his huge studios down there.
Yeah, that's crazy. His whole
He is so smart.
He is.
Like, I mean, people look at those movies and they're like, well, what, you know.
They're like, oh, this is silly, it's stupid. You're like, this is an empire.
Do you know how much money he makes? And he's like a super smart businessman. And I look at some people that have taken comedy and gone on completely different paths with it. And it's still cool. Like, you know, however you want to go, however you end up going. I don't think you end up having a choice. It just ends up like leading you.
I would think so. I feel like it's whatever you have the most fun doing is probably also what you're going to be the most successful in. If you can separate the business side from it, you know, and really take you have to dive into that too. But
and you look at it as a business, yeah?
You have to.
Yeah.
It is a business.
Yeah.
It's your life, you know?
Yeah. In New York, do they look down on the whole networking term as well?
No, it is very much, FaceTime is what they say. You got to put in FaceTime.
Yeah. I just noticed in Chicago, they hate that word.
Networking?
Yeah.
It's all the same.
It's all the same thing. Yeah.
You have to do it. And if you don't, don't
how are you going to get anywhere? Yeah.
I hate networking. So many people say that. Yeah, everyone hates networking. Look at it as FaceTime. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they changed the name.
Maybe. It's all the same thing though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we're winding down, and I know I asked you this a little bit, but you can get more specific. I always ask people before we end the podcast what your dreams are for the future.
Oh.
Dreams, goals for yourself. You can be big, little, whatever.
I don't know. Let's see. Dreams for the future. I'm really trying to buckle down on getting a writing job right now. So, like, doing these late night packets and figuring out where my connections are and hopefully doing a late night set within the next year and a half. And then we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said it out loud, so now I have to do it, right?
Yeah. Actually, I really believe in that. Saying it out loud will help.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast. And we always end by saying good night. So, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Amy Shanker. Be sure to check out Amy's upcoming dates at amyshanker.com. Follow her on Twitter and Instagram at Amy Shanker, and check her out on the 28th at The Stand at 8:30. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can find out more on sleepingwithsarah.com. And please follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.